Hi guys, we're trying something a little different today, meringue pops. I thought they were so cute, I just had to try it. This is my first time making any type of meringue, so I learned a lot. I also have very little experience with piping, so if you want, you can just skip that part and make little drop cookies instead. I'll put the recipe in the comments.
You're going to want to use a stand mixer with a whisk attachment. It can be done by hand, but it'll be quite the workout. You'll also need cookie sheets, parchment paper, a kitchen scale, and piping bags and tips. You'll also want some lemon juice or vinegar and some paper towels. The only ingredients you need are egg whites, powdered sugar, and flavoring. Cream of tartar is optional, but I found it quite useful for a meringue beginner. If you're wanting to do white meringue, you're going to want to use colorless flavoring because it will change the color. And if you want colored meringue, you'll need gel or paste food coloring. We're going to start out by thoroughly wiping everything that will be touching the egg whites down with lemon juice or vinegar and a paper towel. We need to remove any trace of fat or soap residue. Oils will keep your eggs from fluffing up. You'll want to set everything up before you start whipping your egg whites. I found that if it sits for too long, it sort of deflates. So have your cookie sheet with the parchment paper and templates all set up ready to go. Have all your ingredients nearby as well. It will definitely help streamline the process. Now you'll want to crack each egg into a separate bowl and remove the yolk by hand. But make sure your hands are super clean with no lotions or oils. Using the shell can sometimes break the yolk. We definitely don't want any yolk at all. That's why after each egg white is separated, we'll put it into the mixing bowl that's on the scale. We do one at a time in case a yolk breaks. We won't have to throw out the whole batch, just the one egg. We'll need roughly 100 grams of egg whites, which is around 3 to 4 eggs. And the scale is important because we need to double the weight of the egg whites, and you can't use a measuring cup for that. Now add a healthy pinch of cream of tartar and start the mixer on low for at least 2 minutes until it's nice and bubbly. This will help build up the proteins. Then we'll increase the speed to medium. We are whipping it to soft peaks before we add the sugar. This can take anywhere from 3 to 15 minutes depending on how old your eggs are, the humidity, and the temperature. To check if the egg whites are ready for sugar, tip the bowl to make sure the foam doesn't budge. If it moves around the bowl at all, keep whisking. You should be able to turn it upside down and it still won't move. While that's whisking, go ahead and measure out the amount of powdered sugar you need. Double the weight of your egg whites. Make sure to sift it thoroughly so we can keep the meringue light and fluffy. Now we're going to add our powdered sugar. Keep the speed low. To keep the foam from collapsing, we're going to sprinkle in the sifted sugar 1 spoonful at a time, very slowly. This will also help keep it light and fluffy. After we've added all the sugar, we'll turn the speed up to medium. The time will vary on how long it takes, roughly 10 to 15 minutes, but we're looking for very stiff peaks with a glossy shine. This is where you'll add your flavoring. You can use any flavoring you want: vanilla, peppermint, lemon, cotton candy, etc. Just keep in mind the color of your flavoring will affect the color of your meringue. So if you're going for ultra white, use colorless flavoring. I tried using luster dust to color the meringue. It did not go well. So definitely stick with the gel and the paste food colorings. Make sure to fold it in very gently. We don't want to flatten our meringue. If you're only using one color, add it while it's still in the mixer. Start out with a small amount because you can always add more color if needed. Now we'll take the piping bag with whatever tip you're using and fill it halfway with the meringue. I recommend using the Wilton coupler so you can quickly and easily switch tips. I printed up some 4-inch circles and some tall triangles to use as a template for my wreaths and Christmas trees. Just put them on a cookie sheet, then cover that with a piece of parchment paper. You can also draw on the backside of the paper as a template. Now put a small dot of meringue in the corners underneath the parchment paper to adhere it down so it won't move around while you're trying to pipe. I recommend 3-inch circles for wreaths. In hindsight, 4 inches was too big. You want to use the small paper sticks, not plastic. Just put a dot of meringue where you want the stick to go, then lay it on top. Make sure to pipe at a 90-degree angle and keep the tip about 1/2 inch off the paper. Make sure to space out your pops so they have plenty of airflow all the way around them. They won't grow while they bake, but still leave about 2 inches in between. For the pops, you want to make sure all the meringue is touching. If there's even the slightest gap, it'll break apart. I'm making Christmas trees and wreaths, but there are endless things you can do with meringue and piping tips. Or you can just do a little dollop cookie if you don't want to mess around with the piping bags. Something I learned the hard way, make sure to readjust the stick if it happens to move during piping. I have very little experience with piping tips. Some worked great, some not so great, but play around with it, see what you can come up with. And with the leftover meringue, you can make little cookies to fill the negative space between the pops. If you want to add sprinkles, now is the time to do that. They won't stick after they cook. I added sprinkles and gold leaf before I cooked them, but the chocolate bows should be added after they've cooled all the way. Now we're going to bake them at a very low temperature. The research I've done says between 200 and 250. Mine turned golden brown at 225, so I actually cooked these at 185. You'll want to cook them one tray at a time if possible, and in the very center of your oven. You can check if they're done by seeing if you can pop them off easily but gently. I checked the small ones first, and once those came up easily with no stickiness on the bottom, I left the pops in a bit longer. When they're done, don't pull them out of the oven just yet. Turn the oven off and leave the door shut for about 45 minutes. Then you can crack the oven door for another 45 minutes, and by then they should be cool enough to take out. They tend to crack if they cool too quickly. If you're adding any chocolate embellishments or want to sprinkle luster dust on them, you can do that now. To store the meringues, put them in an airtight container lined with paper towels for padding. They'll stay good for 2 to 3 weeks. If they get sticky because they were left out or because of humidity, you can put them back in the oven at 185 for like 10 to 15 minutes, and they'll be good as new.
So, being that this was my first attempt, I think it went pretty well. But I'm going to keep playing around with this stuff, see what else it can do. I hope you guys enjoy.